Welcome to week 1. Some things that you should know. You can reach me anytime by email or text message is great. You can also call me, but I just won't be able to answer right away usually. But I will get back to you. You can take quizzes as many times as you want until you get a 100. So it's great practice. At the Keiser Live, you'll see the different quiz questions done out for you. So that usually helps people to be successful. It also helps them prepare for the test. The test, make sure you are ready for it and that you've practiced using the book or online resources, because you can take the test one time and only one time. The good thing is, if you're not happy with one of your test scores, either on week 1 or week 2 or week 3, you'll be able to choose one test that you want to retake during week 4. So if you just have a bad week, don't feel like you're done with the course, because you can recover. So just continue to practice. The hardest thing with students is sometimes they don't want to reach out. They might feel like they just don't know anything and they're nervous to ask for help. Just don't be nervous, because I'm willing to help with anything, and I've heard all different types of questions. So you can't compare yourself to anybody else, because I've seen it all. There's plenty of opportunities for bonus points each week. The only week that has a journal entry is week 1. But the other weeks you can still do, there's a discussion question each week. There's summary questions that you can do. Attending the Keiser Live gets you bonus. So there's plenty of opportunities to get bonus points as well. I created a video and attached it to the announcements for week 1 that helps navigate through Blackboard. So if you're new to an online course that can be a little overwhelming, please feel free to use that video to just kind of point out the important places on Blackboard. So for these first 2 problems with adding and subtracting decimals, they have the same rule. The rule for adding and subtracting decimals is to line up the decimal places. What this does is allows all of the place values to get lined up. So in the first problem, I've lined up all of my decimal places. Now if I want to, I can add zeros at the end here and here, because after the decimal point it goes tenths, hundredths, thousandths. So in the thousands place I technically have zeros for both of these, and this one I have a 4. Or you can just know that 0, 0, and 4 add up to 4, and we can continue on from there. So that gets us 4. 2 plus 7 plus 7 gets us 16. Carry the 1. 1 plus 4 is 5, plus 5 is 10, plus 9 is 19. Put down the 9. Carry the 1. 1 plus 0 is 1, plus 3 is 4, plus 6 is 10. Bring down the decimal point as well. Carry the 1. 1 plus 6 is 7, plus 6 is 13, plus 4 is 17. 170.964 is the final answer. And if you think about decimals in terms of money, and we estimate to check our answer here, I just want you to see that this is about $60 plus about $64 maybe, and this one's about $47. So I'm rounding up because the change here was higher than 50 cents. And so that would make sense that it's about $171. So for the next problem, we're going to line up the decimal places again. So I'm starting all the way to the right with the 3 minus 7 here. And I can't do that, so I'm going to borrow. I'm going to borrow from the 3, make this a 2, and this becomes 13. 13 minus 7 is 6. Next I'm trying to do 2 minus 3. I can't do that, so I can't borrow from these zeros, but I can go all the way over to the 1, make that a 0. This becomes 10. Bring that down 1 less to 9. Make the next one a 10. Bring that down to 9. Put a 1 in front here, so we get a 12. 12 minus 3 is 9. 9 minus 6 is 3. 9 minus 0 is 9. Decimal point, 0 minus 0 is 0. So 0.936. And again, if you think about this in terms of money, this is about $1 minus about 6 cents, which should be about 94 cents, which is true in this case. Next we have multiplying decimals. So in order to multiply decimals, I actually pretend that there's no decimal point in the number. And I multiply, and then I put back the amount of decimal places there were. So I'll just show you that for this first problem, there's 1 decimal point there, one number after the decimal point, sorry. And in the next problem, there's 2 numbers after the decimal point. So in total, I have 3 decimal places that I have to put back when I'm done. The 1 from the first number and 2 from the next. So I'm going to multiply as if the numbers, those decimals aren't even there, so it'd be 60 times 171. Oops. So I'd have 171 times 60. I'm going to take that 0 first and multiply by everything in the top row. 0 times 1 is 0, 0 times 7 is 0, 0 times 1 is 0. Always put a placeholder in your second row. And then I'm going to do 6 times everything. So 6 times 1 is 6, 6 times 7 is 42, I'll carry the 4. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 4 is 10. And we add everything up at this point. And then remember I need to put back 3 decimal places. 1, 2, 3. And I got 10.26. I'm told to round to the nearest hundredth. Hundredth is money, because think about it, there's 100 coins in a dollar, right? So this is the hundredths already, 26. There's no rounding necessary here. 10.26 is the answer. And the next one with multiplying decimals, anytime you multiply by a number ending in 0, 10, sorry, I shouldn't say number ending in 0, a multiple of 10. 10, that's not correct either. How do I explain this? Anytime you multiply by 10, 100, 1,000, etc., you just move the decimal place the number of zeros that you see. So there's 3 zeros here. So I'm going to move it 1, 2, 3 over. So this is 1,649. Now you could do what we just did up top. Pretend there's no decimal place, multiply 1,649 times 1,000. You would end up getting the same number with 3 zeros at the end, and then I'd have to move back my 3 spaces. And so that's why it's kind of pointless. So you can actually just multiply it, move the decimal the amount of times that there were zeros, and you end up with the same answer, 1,649. For the next problem, again, we pretend there's no decimal places there. I'd multiply 123 times 45. But when I'm done, I know that I'm going to need 4 decimal places to put back because of the numbers that are after the decimal. There's 2 in each. And so in total, I'm going to put back 4 decimal places when I'm done. So if I multiply this one, I get 5 times 3 is 15, carry the 1. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 1 is 11. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 1 is 6. Put down a 0. Now I'll go to the 4. 4 times 3 is 12, carry the 1. It's already there from before, so I'll use that one again. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 1 is 9. And 4 times 1 is 4. Now I add this up, and I'm going to get 5, 3, 6 plus 9 is 15, carry the 1. So 5535. But I need to put back 4 decimal places, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm getting 0.5535, and I have to round to the nearest hundredth. Everyone gets this one wrong because they forget about that part after doing all that work. Round to the nearest hundredth. So to round to the nearest hundredth, I'm looking, this is about 55 cents, and I look at the number to the right, the 3, and I see if it's large enough. It has to be 5 or bigger. So since it's not large enough, we just lose those numbers, and the answer is 0.55. Don't forget the decimal point there that I just covered up. 0.55, or 0.55. For dividing decimals, you are not able to divide by a number that's a decimal. So this number on the right, the number you're dividing by, cannot be a decimal. So to make that a whole number, I'm going to move this over 2 times, and it becomes the number 25. If you move the decimal place to the end, it becomes 25. But what I do to one number, I have to do to the other. So I'm going to move this over. So this problem now reads 0.25 divided by 25. Since I have a whole number that I'm dividing by, this number right here, 25, I'm good to go ahead and divide. So I make my division symbol. 0.25 divided by 25. You bring this decimal straight up, and then just like with multiplying, you pretend there's no decimals there. So 25 doesn't go into 0, it doesn't go into 2, but it does go into 25 one time. You always multiply, subtract, and bring down. But since this is a 0 right here, this is really like a stop sign in math. When you're dividing, if that 0 shows up, you can stop. And you can check your work by multiplying. If you take 25 and multiply it by 0.01, remember I pretend there's no decimal place, I multiply, I get 25, and I put back 2 decimal places, and I get 0.25, which is what we started with right here. Again, that's just to check your answer.